I didn't connect these both aspects until I had a QHHT session with Saha. It's called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And that's when I entered my own higher self and understood that is actually why I came forth. It's not just a nice ability and I love horses, but this is how in this lifetime I serve humanity and the animals the best, and this is needed. I bet at one day I will see you dancing with a wild bear.
Okay.
And nobody will believe it, but I will have it on camera, and I cannot tell you why, but you have that.
All our lives, we've been surrounded by this notion of the gifted one, the special one, in terms of human beings that can actually communicate with animals. Well, today I'm here with Dunja Will, who is one of those gifted ones, actually, an interspecies communicator. And, well, at least personally, my goal today is to find out if that is actually a gift, or let's dig a little deeper and see if it's something we all actually hold within ourselves as well. So first of all, Dunja, a very big hi and hello going out to you.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Loving the entire depth of what this conversation is going to hold. Very excited to see what your experience has been like and what you have to share with us as well. So my first question to you is, let's go back a little bit, right? A few years. When did you first realize that your connection with animals was different from the normal folk?
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of a tricky question because I thought very, very long time that this is absolutely natural and everybody's doing it.
Oh, so you thought it was common for everyone?
Yes, of course, because it was always natural to me. The first encounter I had with a dog where I knew what's going on was when I was 3 or 4 years old with our dogs at home. So I thought, of course, everybody's doing it. Why would I be different, right?
Okay.
And then in my teenage age, when I got closer with horses and their owners, I was on the paddock and I was literally hearing how the horse said, I don't want that. I don't want that. And I was like, why is she doing that? Why she hears that he doesn't want that? And slowly I realized she might not hear it. Like she is not aware of what he's screaming, literally.
Oh, that is so interesting. So how old were you? Like how deep into your life did you realize that it wasn't really normal for you to be hearing animals like that?
So I think I was 16 or 17 when I realized so many things wouldn't make sense in the horse stables around me if they would realize it. And then more medical cases came where they were clueless, and I was like, well, he's showing me it's the knee, it's not the hoof or something. Yeah. Then it became very, very clear, but that doesn't mean I said what I was hearing. Like I didn't say I can communicate. I just I think it's this. You might check out the knee. And they're like, how did you know that? I'm like, I
know it. Yeah, I can hear the animal.
I didn't say it that clear.
All right. So you mentioned that it started off with your father's pit bulls, if I'm not mistaken. Really. Pit bulls are amazing, by the way. Okay, nice. That makes a lot of sense. So what were those early interactions like with your father's pit bulls? Like, what did you feel when you knew you heard the pit bulls?
Yeah. So I need to say we had guard dogs. So my father bred them to train them to guard dogs. That means they were not dogs you could just go up to and cuddle.
Okay.
No. And it was very, very obvious, especially to my parents also, that I was the one who could go up to the dogs. Like I would crawl to them even. They told me later on. I would dong, dong, dong.
Like when you were a toddler?
Yes. And I was like dong, dong on their head. And they were like, oh my God. And nothing happened.
Okay.
And then I was playing with them in a way which a guard dog would not feel comfortable doing, or even my parents shouldn't have felt comfortable, but they knew inside of them nothing is going to happen because she feels something we can't.
Okay.
So there were moments where I knew we don't need a leash later on, right, when I grew up. And that's a moment we need a leash. And my father, of course, was not used to have a dog without a leash because they were always protective.
Especially pit bulls.
Yes, exactly. We had also Rottweilers later on. And I was like, no, that's all right. That's all right. Not now.
She's fine.
Okay. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Even though my father couldn't really grab it or process what it might be, because this time we didn't have the term animal communicator or interspecies communicator, he knew it and he felt it and he trusted it at some point. He said, yeah, when she says, that's how it is then.
Okay, so I'm thinking it's amazing to sort of have that support from your parents instead of them side-eyeing you and thinking maybe it's just a childhood fascination or imagination. What did that support and that trust from your parents feel like?
Well, that is super important, and it's a really good question, because I think it is dimming our light when we have surroundings, parents, friends, whatever it is, who are telling us, no, it's just a phase, that can't be real, or because I don't know it, it can't be true. Right?
Okay.
I think that is very, very dangerous to let kids grow up like this. And yes, it has a huge impact. Even though they did not understand, they didn't have a term for it, they trusted it.
They believed you.
They believed it, and they knew it. They saw it. Well, they're responding definitely different to her, and she always knows when it's the time to react and when not. So we weren't talking about it, but they trusted me with all animals. They never were like, oh, be careful. I never heard, even with the horses later on, because I was working mainly with the so-called dangerous horses and dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hard cases. No, never did my father say, oh, be careful.
Okay.
He was not there, so I knew he's trusting me. He was always smiling, looking at me and saying, he said one thing which I will never forget, right? He said, I bet at one day I will see you dancing with a wild bear.
Okay.
And nobody will believe it, but I will have it on camera. And I cannot tell you why, but you have that, because I was working with crocodiles as well in Australia.
Crocodiles?
I'm a huge fan of crocodiles, right? He wasn't even shocked. Like, he was like, yeah, I know.
This is just normal. She's been getting here all her life. Okay.
I was doing so many things. He wasn't even surprised.
That's amazing. I feel like that support is key for the course your life has taken right now. Which actually sort of leads me to my next question. You've been surrounded with support from what I see, and that sort of exposure to animals has happened ever since you were little.
Yeah.
Were there ever moments of doubt where you sort of took a step back and second guessed yourself, like, wait, is this really happening, or am I doing this?
I didn't doubt it because I didn't had a term for it. Like, I'm communicated. I communicating. I took it as it came, right?
Okay.
And very often it came as a knowing, as a feeling, and I just knew things. And I was always a person who can't really so I always say what I think, and it comes out way quicker than I would have a chance to doubt it.
Okay.
Of course, there were situations which were medical situations with horses where I was like, wow, it's very important what I'm going to say now. I need to trust myself 100% because the situation is relying on me, basically, right?
The responsibility.
Yeah, the responsibility. So, but I didn't doubt it. I said it. I say my feeling says, and I interpret it as, and
That's amazing. That's wonderful. And I think I was telling you off mic before as well that I'm a big fan of horses.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to sort of dive into that section in just a little bit. But, well, we've been mentioning interspecies communication every now and then, right? Yeah. So how would you define interspecies communication or animal communication to someone that has no idea about it?
So it is a non-verbal telepathic communication. Okay. And it is a little bit, because I know many people are asking me, like, I can't see it, I can't touch it, I can't smell it. It's not true. But I always give an example. Do you doubt the Wi-Fi?
Oh, that's amazing.
You can't touch it, you can't see it, but you're using it daily. You call someone, or like you write on WhatsApp, right? You don't second guess it, but you know it's real, even though you can't really explain it. Just like the electricity, right? We turn it on and off, but do you really know how that works and where it goes? And, it's a bit like this, and I think it's a very natural thing we all have. What is important to understand is if you constantly have a chit-chat here, that is not a place where you could do this from, right? As a work or privately, right? Telepathic communication means you becoming a vessel, you becoming still inside of you, and you can focus your energy, your frequency to something. Like you would call me from the other end of the world, right? You need to know who you call. who you're calling.
It needs to be intentional.
Definitely.
Okay.
I need to focus and I need to have an intention. That's, let's say I'm focusing on this horse. I might have a picture because I do online sessions, right? I have a picture, in the best cases, a name and an age. So I'm calling this being, right? I know who I'm talking to. So it's like that.
That's
really
amazing. So a non-verbal telepathic communication.
Yes.
And I think that example that you use is just the best way for me to explain it to someone as well.
Yes.
You don't see Wi-Fi happening, you don't see it working, but it works.
Exactly.
And I think that at the end of the day, so going back to how I started things off, would you say it's a gift we all have within us that we need to tap into very strongly?
Yeah. I don't resonate so much with the word gift. I would say it's an ability we all can access. It's like you have an app on your phone, but you've never used it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ability to become still just means discipline and really focus and intention, just as you said earlier. So I definitely think that people who are there wanting to do it, have a strong connection to animals or other humans, can definitely do it, yeah.
That's amazing. That's really wonderful to know. So I think at the end of the day, the takeaway is that it's not a gift.
No.
It's an ability.
Yes.
And that's
definitely.
amazing. And I'm really looking forward to diving into the section of your work with elephants and horses and just so much more. Okay, so on a personal note, I'd say the part that I was most excited for in this discussion was the subject of horses, because I am such a big fan. So my question to you is, you've described horses in your work as beings that you can have insightful dialogues with, right? So
Yes.
what is something that horses understand about humans that we often miss?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there are a lot of things.
Okay.
What I learned, I mean, everything I am today, I must say I've learned mainly from horses. They have taught me so much, right? What they also taught me was patience. This is a very important thing for horses, right? We are rushing them, we are rushing ourselves through life, and they always reminded me that it's not needed. You're gonna achieve your goal anyways if you take it with a little bit more peace inside of you.
Okay.
Another thing is unconditional love. Horses love us even if we make mistakes, even if we have trouble or like grieving or anger, anything. They always show us, and everybody who has horses knows that they love us for who we really are and
That's
not who we want to
beautiful.
be. Yes. And this is so important. I realized because, they're pretty big, like horses could help themselves if there's an uncomfortable situation, but they see us and they see us in love. Whatever we do, whatever we say, whatever we're struggling with, they're always forgiving and they're always there for us. And I think I've learned through this a lot. Like no judgment, like understanding you don't know what this person is going through right now. Just be a little bit more empathic and
That's amazing. And this actually reminds me of something, because I watch a lot of horses. I read about a lot of horses, and there's this little, I'd say, notion that says that horses choose their people, right? Is that true? What could you say about that? Do they?
Definitely, but not just horses. Like if you ever had a dog or a cat, you have never chosen this animal, they choose you. They choose you either because there's a lesson in life they need to teach you, or they're like, in terms of they mirror you and you're like, oh, what is it telling me about myself?
Okay.
Right? Or they're coming because you need some healing, some recognition who you really are. I mean, they always do both, but sometimes one part is stronger than others, right? So, yeah.
Okay, that is beautiful, and I'm glad to know that. But you also said that you've helped horses, and that horses have helped you realize things and gain a lot of qualities like patience and things like that. But like I said, in the vice versa direction of that, you've helped horses in your lifetime as well. So when did you sort of realize that that is your purpose?
Yes. So that came very late, to be honest, because I was constantly doing it and like thinking I just love horses.
Okay.
But you should do something else for a living. So I didn't connect these both aspects until I had a QHHT session with Saha. It's called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And that's when I entered my own higher self and understood that is actually why I came forth. It's not just a nice ability and I love horses, but this is how in this lifetime I serve humanity and the animals the best, and this is needed. So then it was crystal clear that is the only thing I should be doing, right?
That's so interesting.
Yes.
So did that feel amazing to like discover that purpose? Like, you know, you finally, the fog cleared and you had direction in your life. Was it a feeling like that?
Yes, and it was light. Because all the time I was trying to do something else while my heart is directing me there. But I was like, how am I going to make money with this, right? It's just nice to know and to have and to do. But then for really making money, I need to do something else. So I was working in a completely different business for many, many years. And when this became clear, I was like, wow, I can live my dream while that's my income, right? And I realized also, we're coming to this later on with the horses, but also the elephants and the wild horses in Australia, how much I can actually serve and help, not just the animals, also the humans, and bring more harmony.
Okay,
so
that really is amazing. And I think I would actually describe you as the living embodiment of following your dreams. And now that's just your life and it's what you do for a living. It's your mode of income. But at the same time, you love it. And I think that's amazing and a little bit of encouragement for everyone who wants to follow their passion as well. So just as much as you are an animal person, there is a deeper level of, I'd say, intellectual capacity within you to know that this is the path you want to follow in life, regardless of the hardships you faced, which you've told me about as well. So that's just amazing. But I'd really like to sort of dive into the horse aspect a little bit more as well. Is there a specific moment that you'd like to share with us in terms of you helping a horse heal from a wound or a certain ailment that the horse might be having? Something that I'd say touched your heart a little bit?
Oh, there are so many, many situations because that's what I'm doing on a daily basis, right? So I had, I mean, when you say heal, it's, I'm going to give you examples, okay?
Yeah,
because,
definitely. I'd love that.
That's a complex thing, right? Because sometimes translating what is actually going on is the healing itself, because we are tapping in the dark sometimes. You know, we tried everything, vets, trainers, everything, but something is still there. And very often, I must say, very often they're taking over. So while saying that, so the human has the chance to face that and maybe to change it, is already healing. So I have had horses limping over and over again, like getting lame, right? And the vet says, like, seriously, I don't know, you're having this trouble now for a year or 2 or 3, right? And there is nothing physically, but they're lame all over a sudden, right? So then I had horses telling me, well, I'm taking over the grief, I'm taking over the anger, and they could specifically point out, let's say, the grief of a woman who got divorced. Yeah, her husband wanted a divorce and she could not process it for years. Right? So, and she had children. She was still like grieving and could not accept her new reality. Horses take over anger, which you don't live, you don't process your own angers. Is shown in the physical health of your animal. Horses, dogs have that also, cats also. So this is healing. And then, of course, I had horses in very dangerous situation, choked an apple, and all of a sudden, and I was pretty young, right? That time, I was like, well, the horse is telling me this black liquid you guys drink sometimes. And I'm like, do you mean Coca-Cola? Because I'm pretty sure that's unhealthy for horses. But, you know, that was a situation where we don't have time to think about, right? He was like, oh, you know, with this apple. And then I said, I think he needs Coca-Cola. I was so unsure, you know, like I didn't doubt it. I said it out loud, but like, I think Coca-Cola. What do you mean Coca-Cola? The vet was like, he's like, okay, give me, like, we just put like nearly a liter Coca-Cola in, and this acid helped the apple to shrink and go down. So we helped this horse.
Oh,
yes.
That's incredible.
I know. And I had no idea about it. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not helping, like I was helpless. Or like very often knee injuries or hip injuries get not identified right away from the vet because the problem starts in the neck or in the front back, So they're looking for something, but the problem is somewhere else. And sometimes it's a little bit more complex to find that. Okay. And that gives a lot of clarity. You don't have all this guesswork and you know what. I mean, we need the vets and the trainers, right? I can just say, that's where it is. That's what we have to treat. And this is where it came from. And very often they choose their own treatment as well.
The horses?
Yes, they know exactly what they need.
How so? Like,
they know exactly what they need.
Or they know what needs to be treated and what area of the body they're actually hurting from.
How it needs to be treated as well.
That's
like,
incredible.
They are incredible. I also had a dog, not a horse, but a dog who chose his surgery because he said, if you're going to replace my hip, my body will reject it. So my body is not going to be okay with that.
Okay.
And that's something you don't know even as a vet before. You need to try. But if you listen to your animal, they know. I had horses saying, well, you're training me because I don't have back muscles, right? But that's not the way I need to be trained. What you're missing here is for my body, for me personally, I need this and this and this training. They did their own training. Training, how you call it?
Training to just make sure that they recover.
Yeah, the training map.
The rehabilitation.
Yes, exactly. Like they could
tell
everything, and it's magnificent.
I think you're answering one question that I asked you, but at the same time, you're revealing such a deep intellectual capacity that these animals hold for themselves, because
Definitely.
Just to be able to know what would help them is far beyond what we humans perceive for animals, because we think we know what's best for our pets. We know what's best for our puppies, our kittens, our horses, but just to know that they know what they need, just as we humans know what we need, is incredible. That is beautiful.
The thing is, they're still connected, right? We go to a doctor because we're not sure where it's coming from, right? But if we would really come back to ourselves and be connected, we would realize things way earlier. We would know what the root cause is. But the animals are constantly in this state. They're constantly connected. They're constantly there. So they know what's happening exactly in their body. While they're walking on the paddock, they feel their bloodstream and everything going. If something is not right, they can tell it right away. And a very, very good example is a horse who would always have a small pin or cut in his leg, and the owner would look the whole fences up for nails where he hurts himself. And he's like, man, I'm doing this on purpose. This is my acupressure point to release this tension in my jaw. And I'm like, and this owner, she didn't know. She's like, where is he hurting himself, right? She wants to get rid. And I mean, she's doing great, not knowing what's going on. And he's like, I have pressure in my jaw. So I'm pressing this point here to release it. And he's like, I can't find anything where I can press my leg on again. And I was like, wow.
Oh, that's incredible. And I feel like that is also one of the reasons why interspecies communication is important, because sometimes you think you're doing what's best for your animal or your pet, but they know better. So being able to listen to that is incredible. And you told me before that the reason a certain horse was limping was because he swallowed the grief of, was it his owner?
Yes.
Was the horse's owner. Okay, so which actually brings me to my next question. How would you say interacting with a horse actually heals a human? Is there a sort of, I'd say, mechanism, if that's the right word, or would you say there is something there? Would you say interacting with a horse would actually heal a human?
Definitely, because I facilitate AAIT. It's Animal Assisted Intuitive Transformation. That means, if you're with a horse, and I'm not talking about any sports and riding and all of that, a horse brings you back to the present moment. And the only moment you can heal anything in your own body is the present moment. That means you stop thinking about yesterday, you stop thinking about tomorrow or the fight you had with your husband or your girlfriend. You become very clear. In this moment, you get a complete new body awareness. and you start feeling your emotions, which are the cause of your maybe symptoms in your body. So I had many sessions where people start shaking like uncontrollable, or crying because they're releasing, because they let this moment happen where they come to the present moment, and the horse is just holding space, taking it. But this is another case, right? They're taking it over and giving it back to the earth. Like you see them like standing like this and whipping sometimes. That's when they take over and they let it go. And you realize, wow, there's something stuck, or I'm still grieving, or I'm still thinking, or you know what I mean? Like everything becomes more tangible, more clear. So your whole awareness of yourself changes. So they are definitely great healers. I've seen that in so many sessions, or like autistic children who spoke the first words in sessions like this.
Seriously?
Because they give you a feeling of safety. You are safe with a horse, right? If you spend time with a horse, nothing else is important anymore. Like you feel safe, you feel like you're free to release, you're free to tell. Even some speak, they just have the urge to tell it, right? And you see in the eyes of the horse, they are there with you. They're not letting you alone. So yeah, in my sessions, the unique thing is, of course, while they're doing this, they're communicating with me. That's in their body. There is a tumor. The tumor came because of this. This is an autistic child, but it is a soul contract. There is a reason why this child came to this world, living this experience. And what does this child needs now to be best supported?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Just to know that. Well, I'd go off on a limb and say at that point, horses do heal and help humans.
Yes.
More than us humans can ever contribute to a horse's well-being. I know it's a lot to say,
yes,
but just that emotional depth there is really, really incredible. And it's just, it's touched me in a way that I can't really describe either, because of my love for horses. And somewhere down the line, something that I'd really like to experience myself as well. But I have a little bit of an interesting question for you right now. Obviously, you communicate with humans. We are communicating right now too. But on the other hand, you have an amazing depth of communication with animals. Just on a little bit of a lighthearted note, which one's easier?
I'm going to be honest here.
It's okay. That is the whole point. Just I want you to be as honest as possible. Yeah. Which one's easier?
Yeah, animals.
Okay.
And the reason is easy. I sometimes struggle. I sometimes bringing a message across, like I struggle with that, or because there's too much masking, hiding, and ego in the way. So if you communicate with an animal, they're always honest. There's no reason to lie, right? Lies doesn't exist in the animal world. Ego, no, they don't even have goals, like they need to hide something because they're not selfish. So it is very easy. Like, you know what you have and how to deal with it. It's so clear. It's so easy. With humans, it's always, okay, you say this, but I feel something very different,
Yep.
We're scared to admit our emotions very often. We are unsure. We have struggles in our life, which is normal, but it makes communication challenging, I would say.
It does,
yeah. But if you feel like heart to heart, it's always heart to heart, right? If you would let go and sit with me here and I ask you a question and you would honestly answer, that would make our life so easy. But in most of the cases, that is not the case.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that out loud, because I think even you and even me, like, we have a sense of guard around us that makes us overthink our answers, hide our emotions, mask what we're actually feeling, even to get through a day. Maybe someone working at a corporate office would cry the night before and come the next day smiling as if nothing happened. And I think that is just the complication between the communication of humans there. But just that animals are so simplistic makes wildlife so much more beautiful, to say the very least, and easy too. Exactly. Yes. So, however, would you say that it's communication nonetheless, right? Would you say that there have been instances where it's a little hard to understand animals, or there has been small miscommunications?
No. Miscommunications doesn't really exist, because I don't also interpret. I don't interpret. I am a vessel. I am just a translator, right? the only thing is, we're sitting here. We don't know each other very long. You wouldn't tell me about your childhood trauma on the first date, right?
Definitely not.
It's the same with some animals, especially with wild animals.
It's the same.
Yeah, because, some are like, I'm going to answer a few of your questions, but who are you? Actually, I don't know you that well.
Okay.
Some need more trust, but they are really, really rare because even the elephants I've met, the wild ones, they're very open. And if you offer help, they always take it. It's different than humans, right? We're scared even to ask for help, but they are like, wow, you have a solution? Give it to me. I will cooperate. But there are some traumatized animals, wild ones, of course, domesticated ones a lot, and they hesitate. They sometimes you have to ask 2 and 3 times to really get it out of them, because they are lacking trust at the beginning. They would need a little bit more time, so a few more sessions or something. Yeah.
Okay.
But not really miscommunication. No.
Okay, that's amazing. So would you say that is one thing humans and animals have in common, that necessity to build a level of trust before openly communicating as much?
Yeah, but there's a difference. Some humans have that without their own trauma because they get taught, don't trust and don't be so. But animals really have that when they're highly traumatized and abused. Okay. That's the moment when they are like this. I mean, there might be some characters as well. Each animal is very unique, I can tell you. I have not met the same elephant, and they're a little bit more introverted and they're like, I want to get to know you better first. But we humans tend to it a lot. Sometimes without really a reason for the moment right now. So, yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. Nevertheless, I think just thinking about all your experiences is even hard for me to comprehend, because I feel like your interactions with the multiplicity of animals out there is a lot for one person to just comprehend and wrap their minds around. So have you had moments where you felt overwhelmed? Like, let's say you communicate with a horse that's feeling the trauma of another human. Have you had moments where you listen to that story and that overwhelms you? Or where you felt so sensitive and even been on the verge of tears, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I have cried. Yeah, because they share a screen. Like you see, so there are different ways they share: a knowing, a feeling, a voice, and a picture. I'm a very, very visual person. So yeah, I'm sensitive, but I let it go, like I let it happen, right? I don't hide. If something is emotional, I will be emotional as well, but I don't take it over. After my sessions, I cut everything off and I let it go, because it's not mine at the end of the day, and I wouldn't be able to do this work properly if I would be affected by it. Okay. So, but sadness is there. Like, I've talked with so many abused animals and it breaks my heart. Yes, sometimes I cannot understand it. But yeah, I don't really take it over. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing and very understandable. Thank you for that. I think shared a lot of personal experiences there as well. But I think we as Sri Lankans, if any Sri Lankans are watching or listening in, it's about the elephants. We are surrounded by elephants. Sri Lanka is, well, I'd say at the spirit of Sri Lanka is always, elephants. Even the conflict, there is something very deep there, right? So in just a little bit, let's dive into that as well and see what we can unravel from your experiences. All right, so far from everything that we've discussed, something that I've really understood is that animals actually understand humans on a deeper level than we can ever comprehend, right? So a little bit of an intriguing question for you is, what's something that animals understand about us humans that we might not be ready to hear?
That's a very, very good question, because that is very often the case. We always have questions, or we want to fix problems, or we want to get to know. But we often miss that our animals have to tell us something. And it doesn't matter if it's a pet, our animal, or the wildlife, because they always have to tell us something. So something which might be helpful in general, like the elephants have shared which plants are not growing so much anymore, which would be important for them. But also our pets. I mean, we need to understand they know us better than we could ever understand ourselves, because they read our frequency constantly. Doesn't matter what we say or what face expression we have. They understand which emotion is when triggered and when active and where going and if we're processing or not. They also know what we wish for, like what are our goals, where we want to be in 5 or 10 years. That means they can easily guide you through this process to really, really fulfill your wishes and get to your goals.
Okay.
But we never let them speak. We are really noisy and we want to know and we have questions and this is fine, right? But each person with a pet can learn something, because I have profound guidance from pets to their owners, which have changed. I mean, one of the biggest one is a dog. Like the owner said, oh, I have this and that with the dog. It was not really major, but he was, he wanted to fix this problem. And the dog said, I'm so happy you came. Please tell him he has diabetes, but he doesn't know it yet. And I was like, what? He's struggling and he has this issue by night and breathing issue and he's very weak on his legs and he can't really understand. He has diabetes. And I was like, wow, this is profound. You know what I mean? And this is just a medical perspective. They also have to tell us so much about our past and our future and what we're struggling with and what our next step is. No coach, nobody can give you this advice. Just your pets, they know you better than you will get to know yourself, probably ever, So I think this is very important to consider and listening and saying, okay, what do they have to tell me, right? And same with wildlife, right? What can we learn? They know best what is still available and what not, what needs to be improved. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting. And also, I feel like there's no better person to ask this than you. So I'm definitely going to ask you this question, because I think lately with, social media being all around the place and stuff like that, humans have been exposed to, I'd say, footages and videos of guide dogs for certain patients and, how these dogs know even before a spell happens to a human, the fainting, the collapsing and all of those things. You see that the dogs get alert, they get the water, they get the cushion, and just make sure that the owner or the patient is safe. So we've seen it, but people are often confused as to how the animals know that it's going to happen even before it happens. So is that the same logic there as well? Like, do they sense it happening before it happens?
Yeah, definitely. And it's just a tiny part of it all. Like I see, we're still science said, and I'm like, well, a horse told me this 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's very hard to prove these things as well. I understand if you stuck to science and proof and all of that, it's going to take us ages. But if you would just listen, they're telling us everything. So it's like this. They not just feel your energy around you, like a frequency you are in, right? Every emotion, every word, every thought has a specific frequency, right? If you keep thinking about tomorrow, it has a specific frequency, just like you're grieving, you're happy, anything, and they can smell it. Okay. So this is a huge change, right? Like they can smell everything that goes on, and of course, until your body reacts to it, there is a time gap, and they smell it right away when it's there. That's why the dogs get alerted, or like, they make you like know something is gonna happen. Right. But this is just a really tiny aspect of it. There's so much more they know and they can guide us with or like help us with than we have proof of now or studies of now, because I've seen it in praxis, right?
Great. And since you mentioned science and studies and things like that, I want to ask you personally, do you see your work with animals as something complementary to science or something separate from it that might be parallel to it but is not necessarily an intersection?
It would speed everything up, definitely, because as I said, I knew things years before and then science said, right? But it's beyond. It's way beyond, because science is a box, right? And you just believe in this and that. What I do is way beyond that. I channel things. Like, I am connected, and this is the actual source you get the informations from. And this is a proper dialogue. Like, if we would say, it's very easy to ask you questions and know, instead of like, you're not saying anything and I'm trying to find where it hurts in your body, right? It's going to take me a long time. And then to understand, wow, I had now like 200 women with the same knee injury. So what was similar in their life, right? It's going to take a long time. Why don't we just make it easy, right? Communication is the easiest way to get to the point. And it's easy with animals. As I've told you, they're really honest. They're telling you. And the most important thing is they're telling you the root cause, which is very often overlooked. We tend to treat symptoms,
not the root of it.
Yeah, or fix behavior instead of saying like, can you tell me more about why you react? Because they are just reactions. Even the symptoms are just reactions to a certain frequency, right? So emotions are frequencies. So it's very important to look beyond and open our hearts. It's always science is mind, I am heart. So we are not the same. We are asking the wrong people, the wrong channel to make decisions or to understand things, while it is actually the heart doing the work.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So, since, science is just advancing in bounds that are unable for even us to comprehend, right? So, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say the key there is to actually listen to your heart, and I'd say unlock this ability, like you said before, that every one of us have within us, and maybe just put it together with science and identify the root of it, and go ahead with science and help the creatures, or even help ourselves at the end of the day. Would you say that is where you'd like the direction? In an ideal world, would that be the direction?
Definitely. I'm not against science. And we have different types of humans, right? Some need to understand for their brain, like needs to see something. How is that working? How is that connected to really process it? I'm the one. I'm analyzing things. I'm a big analyzer. But if I would go with this intention into my work, it wouldn't work, right?
Okay.
Like, I need to turn this off and say, okay, now it's my heart. But if we could combine those things, like letting the wisdom come from our heart and the connection to other beings, and then like studying on it, that would be a completely different world. But now we have science based on guesswork and keep studying it. And then we're really late, and it's really hard way. So I would say it's always the heart first and then the mind.
So basically it makes sense, because you use your heart to just sort of find out what the root of the problem is, to gather your thoughts, get your perspective straight, and then the mind with science to...
I mean, a very easy example is, we all know it, when a baby is in the womb, what is the first there? The brain? For sure not. It's the heart. So the heart gives signal. Now we need to develop fingers and brain and face. It's always the heart. The brain comes at least. Like, the heart is the one who starts beating and creating this magical being, right? Like, if you look into it, it's never the mind first. Never. The mind is very good for like logical things, mathematics, understanding stuff, but not creating, understanding something we haven't discovered yet. This always comes from here and your higher self, the connection of it all.
That makes sense. And I think even the base of our conversation right now is interspecies communication, but I feel like there is a certain detachment even within humans, right? Like, we are pretty boxed up in how we look at things, our perspective. But yes, regardless of interspecies communication, I think stepping out of that box and using our heart to be aware will take us a long way. And definitely. I feel like a lot of people are going to, I would say the stigma in the opinion there is that, is it a trip back to the Stone Ages? But it's really not.
It's not at all. It's actually future coming from here and way faster, right? But it's always a good intention. It's from love. It's built out of love and not of greed, right? The mind is just, it's a computer. It's processing information which are already there, right? If I don't know what this horse has, there's nothing for me to process. So I need to connect to understand. And definitely it's important for people to come back to themselves and their connection, right? I see that we are pretty disconnected these days, and I think it's very important for everything you do in your life. And as you said at the beginning, I'm following the dream, but every person's desire has a reason. Why is this desire? Are my desires different than yours? Why are my goals different than yours? Because that is your purpose. So telling your people you should just follow your heart, people say, yeah, and how am I going to survive? No, what you love the most is what you came for, and that's what you're going to make money with. But you're going to do good to the world, like you're going to serve and you're going to receive. And this is the way, I think it's very hard always. It's very important.
That is very important, and it's a beautiful sentiment, and I think it's got a very significant level of spirituality there as well, if you think about it. And I think a notion a lot of us humans have is that maybe animals or even our pets, that they don't really have a conception of the concept of death or spirituality or life in general. But what would you say about that? Do animals have a concept of spirituality and death?
Oh, I think we don't. I think they're way further than us. I know they are way further than us. Everything we have ever learned was from animals. If we go back in time, right? Like, we learn so much from animals. They are the masters of life. I always say that they survive. They are not greedy. No, they are unconditional love. You know what I mean? Like, I, as a mother, see an elephant mother with her cub, and I learn from her. You know what I mean? Like, we should really come back to this understanding, to this feeling, and it has nothing to do with like going back in stone times or something. No, this is actual development. We need to look into nature and learn from nature, and animals are part of it, or everything in nature is part of it. So I think they are way further than us, because they heal us, they teach us, which no human can give you, right? They don't have to study, they just have the wisdom, right? They are constantly connected. So
and I think along the lines of that, now I mentioned that yes, the topic of conversation is interspecies communication, but we touched on human to human communication as well. But going along the lines of spirituality, what is the level of communication between, let's say, horses, for example, horse to horse? What is that level of empathy like? Because if anyone would understand, I'm pretty sure it's you. So have you experienced what a horse communicating with another horse is like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear what they communicate because it's a complete different frequency.
Okay.
If I, it's like a radio, like I tune into something, and it's me and the being. I have never been like listening how other beings communicate, but I understand their way of communication and why they communicate. So they always communicate. Like, safety is a big thing. Like, they need a little bit of structure. If we look into the wild, right, all our animals, the herds, they have structure. Many people misunderstand. They think it's dominance. We hear that even in the equine industry, right? It's dominance. Like, the herd leader is the most dominant. Right. And it's absolutely not true. It's not true. I have other stallions who would be way more dominant, and they are very low in the herd. You know what I mean? Right. So it is about understanding, giving safety to the herd, right? So they need structure. That's what they communicate. That very obvious. When they feel not safe, that's when they start communicating, but they have a different kind of feeling each other. So it's not that they have to communicate everything to understand each other, right? They have a feeling, and they are still in this realm where they're all connected. They're all one. Right. So that means they feel each other. They know what's going on. They don't have a need constantly to communicate, right? So it's very, very different than our world.
That's interesting. So just to know that, there is human communication. There's interspecies communication, where you communicate with a horse, and a whole other dimension and a realm where they communicate with each other as well. And that's just the beauty of life. It's so deep. It goes beyond imagination. And
their frequency is very high. You need to understand, like, the frequency of our animals are very high because they're very pure. They're constantly in a high vibration. So if they are communicating with each other on this vibration, it's very hard to focus so long and to be there with them, right? It's wow, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And I think the bottom line here is that we as humans, we have a lot to learn from animals. A lot to learn from them. And something you touched on previously as well is that horses have taught you patience and so on and so forth. So I'd like to dive into that a little bit more. In terms of there being a lot to learn from them, what is something you think they're trying to teach us, or something we definitely need to learn from animals?
It's definitely how we live life. From which intention do we live life? Which emotion? Is it fear-based? Is it anger-based? Like, if we say we have goals, what is it based on? Something telling you this is good, become this, do this, or is it something you really desire? Because they always follow their heart, right? There's nothing else. They don't really use their brain much, right? They use it in training and all of that, but they follow their heart, and it's definitely one of the biggest teachings, following the heart, because that's where the truth is.
Okay.
Everything else is learned, is conditioned, is fear-based, but following the heart will make our life so easy, so peaceful, and we will learn through that to live in harmony. That's what we really looking forward to, right?
And that is, I think, very simple, but also in 2026, I think we as humans, I think what we've sort of forgotten is the basics,
Yes,
the simple
definitely.
stuff. We've let life take over us. The hustle and the bustle of it is always just around us. But going back to the basics and the simplicity of it is just beautiful. And I think there is so much more around that we can discuss as well. So looking forward. Okay, so let's just hit the brakes for a second and center ourselves on Sri Lanka, right? So when you think of Sri Lanka and an animal that a lot of Sri Lankans would mostly need to communicate with, at the forefront of everyone's minds are the elephants, right? So what have, first of all, I'd ask you in terms of personal experience, what have Sri Lankan elephants shared with you that has sort of surprised you the most during your initial visits?
So I must be honest, I didn't know much about anything because I don't do research or anything. So sharing with me that a lot of plants are not growing anymore was something I wasn't expecting.
A lot of plants aren't growing anymore, right?
So there were specific plants on their food menu which are not growing as much as they would like to.
Okay.
Then the space issue, like where they normally walk through, which are now they are not able to access it anymore.
Has sort of been invaded by humans?
Yes, or there are hotels or anything built, so they are stuck. Of course, we have trains as well and everything. Not surprised, but shocked me is what is happening to them, because they shared specifically who in the herd is injured and why, and I wasn't aware how emotional that's gonna be. Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. And even before, we were just having a conversation about elephants in general, and I think it's important to understand something, which is why I'm gonna jump into my next question. How do you think elephants, or at least in this context, Sri Lankan elephants, view us humans, and what is something that we are fundamentally misunderstanding about them?
Well, at the moment, the view is not too good because they are now highly traumatized. I mean, we need to understand that elephants teach their youngest one from the beginning what is a threat and what not.
Okay.
And over the last many, many years, they got constantly attacked in so many different ways. So they're traumatized and they're giving it over. So now it is not a friendship anymore. So human sees an elephant, he sees a threat. Elephant sees a human, he sees a threat. Okay, because both sides think they are in danger. But it didn't start with the elephants like this. They were always coexisting, and elephants are not aggressive animals, right?
They're very calm.
If you keep your distance, all is good. But now they have learned it's not good. As soon as you see a human, it could be that he's going to attack you.
Okay. So is that something we've misunderstood about the elephants, that they're innately sort of aggressive creatures, but they're really not?
They are really not. I mean, I have never met a more calm and very you know, they
Elegant.
they're amazing. Like, I'm struggling to find words for them because they are absolutely amazing. They are mature, you know. What do we misunderstand? Well, I would say we constantly think from a human perspective, and that is not how it works, right? How are you? If I try to understand you, I cannot think from my perspective. I need to find, like, to be emphatic and think, like, put myself in your shoes, right? And that's what is definitely missing here.
All right, that is interesting. And although there is something concerning for me, because let's say you mentioned that the elephants, the parent elephants, that they teach their young ones from the very, very beginning what is a threat and not. So at this point, with the conflict that's going on every day, it's a cycle. It becomes a cycle with the young ones being taught that humans are a threat and vice versa, right? So is there an end to it? Is there a way that we can break that cycle? Something that should ideally happen for that cycle to be broken?
Definitely. The communication is, for me, the absolute solution, because we talk about managing the elephants. Well, that tells me already a lot, because in all events I have attended, it's called managing the elephants. Well, we created a problem and now we don't have a solution, because it's all about us constantly. So I know for a fact we need to invite the elephants in our plans as well. We need to ask what could be done, because we need to keep that in mind. They just want to survive. They don't want to take over our land.
That's what I was going to say. They need that sort of food for survival, land for survival. They don't have an intention of I want to hurt a human.
No, they don't have an ego. They are not selfish. They just want to survive. They are following instincts. And if we really want to coexist, we need to include them in our plans. We cannot keep doing guesswork and think of a perspective of a human who has no idea how this elephant feels, because he has maybe studied it and think all the elephants are the same. This is another problem, right? We don't see uniqueness anymore. We don't see. It's a living being with his own preferences, with his own unique purpose in life, right? With his own character. So it's very important to change the view big times, and communication is the key. Like, if I keep telling you what you have to do, and I keep taking things from you, like food, space, you're not going to resonate with that. You're going to start attacking me and saying, like, why? I don't understand. I just want to survive.
Survival instincts would be activated as well.
Of course, yes.
At that point, if attack is the solution that they see, attack is the solution they
And by the way, I wouldn't say attack. I would say they defend. Because we take, we do. So it's always a defending thing. But if I would talk to you and say, okay, we have a problem. Can we find a solution? Like, you know, complete different energy. You feel it already. Like,
you feel cooperation?
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. And you said communication is the key, and of course it is. Communication is not just the key in a relationship or among humans. It's the key between interspecies as well. So, well, Sri Lanka, though, we have a pretty deep history of this human-elephant conflict. So how would you, in very simple terms, explain to someone that has seen human-elephant conflict or been a victim of human-elephant conflict and say, listen, communication is the key?
Well, first of all, I know it's an emotional topic, right? If you have been a victim or you've seen somebody in your family getting injured or even killed, you know, but we need to zoom out. This is the problem. What I told you, I cannot be affected by something. This is the same thing. As soon as I am emotional, I'm going to try to kill that being, right? So we need to zoom out, and we need to understand the bigger problem here and where it started. Because that's now just a cycle, and this happened, and he did, and he killed, and he killed. You know what I mean? Like, but we need to understand, it's not that long ago you didn't have a human-elephant conflict. You know what I mean? What have they done differently? Why did it start it? And I'm telling you, humans have started. Definitely, that's a fact. And we need to come back to this. I know it's hard, but this is just another reaction. We need to start becoming conscious and thinking, okay, that is painful. I am, you know, injured, or somebody in my family. But it's not, maybe it's not him or her. You know what I mean? Like being very careful who we point at. And this rage is not going to bring us further, because then you have hate, rage. I saw that in villages, right? A lot of hate is there. Well, that is not the energy you're going to coexist with. That's not how you create harmony.
Right.
It is really accepting and looking at, okay, what here again, it's always the same. What is the root cause? It's with every physical symptom we have, every sickness, you call it, whatever, behavioral issue with animals, anything, it's always there, a root cause. And as long as we try to manage symptoms, which we have created, that's going to end in a disaster.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And, well, we've been having this conversation for a while, and I see a huge emotional change in you. While we're touching this topic, I see the passion you have to actually change and break what I would say is a toxic cycle for both the elephants and us humans. And I know you've worked with elephants in Sri Lanka for a while, not just in a particular area, in areas all over the country. And I know it's been a roller coaster from everything that I've spoken with you about it. I know it's a roller coaster, and I understand. But is there something you'd like to share specifically, an experience that, you know, you want people to know, you want to know that this is what you've seen, this is what you've experienced?
Yeah, I would tell you all the stories. I would like that, you know, because each is so unique, just as the elephant itself, you know. But I was at a place where there were domesticated elephants, and I have met them so intimate that like I have never before, right? When they shared their favorite food or why they're injured and how, like, what we need to do to heal them. Okay. Then they also shared how they would like to see the place so they can roam around together. And what touched me the most was an elephant who had 2 miscarriages. And she was done socializing because she was kept alone for a very, very long time. Even though she's now with other elephants, they don't really roam around, but they're there. She was very, very isolated, and she was sad. There was so much sadness, and she wanted, like, she would like to be an open place where they can roam around. So I could feel how, like, socializing is the most important part of them, and that was the most touching one. Or a tusker telling me which female elephant is injured and why. So it's really rare that they talk about themselves. You know, they talk about something which is emotional for them. And that is very emotional. You know?
I think we can relate to that as well. As Sri Lankans, I can tell you this much. I've been to different areas in the country with my family, with my friends, that, you know, to watch elephants, to, you know, see what they're like in their natural habitat and things like that. And I remember one particular, I'd say, safari that I was on. We were just observing elephants, and growing up, we were always told that elephants are herd creatures. They travel in herds, they protect the young one in the middle, and the elder elephants walk around it. And whenever we see a lone elephant somewhere, we're told that's dangerous. You know, that elephant is aggressive. It's not safe. So hearing that there is a deeper emotional level within that elephant it's incredible, because I've always, right now in this conversation with you, feel like I've been on the outside viewing a lone elephant as aggressive, but
so
what you're
sad,
saying
isn't
it is sad.
I mean, there is a being alone for whatever reasons, right? Especially male ones, they get rejected at some point from the herd. It's normal for them to be alone, you know. And you don't know, here comes the judgment, right? You don't know who this being is, what it's going through, why it is there alone. And we're judging it as dangerous for no reason. Like, you haven't seen him being dangerous or anything. Just somebody pointed it out and said, and this creates fear, anger, frustration, and this gives over and over and over, and the cycle starts. And they don't understand, you know. They know their life and thinking like, why?
Yeah.
Why are they saying it, you know? And then you get attacked.
I think a lot of Sri Lankans can relate to what I'm saying, because any moment we see a lone elephant anywhere, it's like, oh, aggressive, but I see it in your face that it's definitely not the case.
It's not. I have seen elephants in mass, because that's called the dangerous time, right? Well, you keep your distance, definitely, because they get irritated fast. But even they
so
are not
we as humans.
Yes, but they are not being aggressive for no reason and coming attack you like randomly because they must. I know I've heard stories in the internet. No, but you don't know. Well, I've been next to an elephant in must, and I'm still alive, and I've been to 2 elephants in must next to them, right? So you just need to respect space. We don't have an understanding for private space. Animals have that. Animals have that, definitely, domesticated or wild. They have that. If we come close, we want to take a picture and we want to feed, and then it's called a dangerous elephant. That is not true. Here again, zoom out, see how it started and what was the problem, right? And this happens a lot. We see that with tourism, we see that with safaris, and it's not the elephant's fault. But we're blaming them because it's so easy. Right?
I think that's very interesting that you should mention that, because it was my next question. There is a little bit of a notion that I'd like you to either reaffirm or break regarding what your answer is. There is this mentality that elephants are very unpredictable creatures. Is that the case, or is just
not.
It's not? Okay.
It's absolutely not. It becomes unpredictable when you are disrespectful. If you enter a space where you're not supposed to be, that's when somebody becomes unpredictable. If you would come over to me now and sit on my laps, I would be like, I don't know why you would do this, right?
Yeah.
Well, awkward. I did not invite you to do this. I don't know you much. And then you're coming loud. People, I've seen that really disrespectful next to wildlife. Loud, talking, cars, pictures, screaming. I'm like, if I would have been the elephant, I would have finished all of you already. You know what I mean? Like we actually have a lot of patient elephants here in Sri Lanka. I've seen that so often. I've been there with videographers, photographers, where I would say, quiet, just stay here, we don't need to sit on his head to, so disrespect, I've seen that a lot. Not having a deeper understanding for what wild means and what their rights are, because we really think we are the ones, we have all the rights, and they are just animals. Just animals. I hear that so often. Why would he has a right? Well, if he crosses his way, he's just on the move. You should go. Yes, you should go. I think so. It's not, but I was here first. This is a typical human thinking. And from this brain, we are trying to find a solution. Well, that's kind of paradox. You see where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do understand that. And animal rights exist for a reason.
Yeah.
They have rights too. So, I mean, just that little notion of personal space invasion, if it happens to them, then I think it's just a matter of putting ourselves in their shoes and imagining what if it happened to us.
But nobody's doing it. That's what I'm saying.
That's a problem.
Put yourself in these shoes. They're like, I'm not a dog, I'm not an elephant. Well, it's another being. It's just another being. We see them as low value. I see that very often. I hear that even though they are not conscious about it, they're like, well, I am a human, that's an elephant. What does that say? What does it say? You know what I mean? It says you don't see the value of it. You think you are more, better, bigger.
Superiority?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's interesting, and I think we could talk all day about your experiences with elephants here in Sri Lanka, because it's a very wide topic of conversation. And however, I think what you've said right now gives us all a little bit of clarity as to what the route might be, even though it's not as simple as that, which I understand. So thank you so much for that. But on a final note, to wrap things up, I'd like to ask you this question, right? In an ideal world, what would a perfect coexistence, a harmonious coexistence between animals and humans look like?
Unconditional love. That's what I've learned. No judgment. Comes always back to the same thing. Just love another being. For everybody is lovable for who or what they are. Just another human. There's so much hate, and I think love would connect us all. And definitely time in nature, which brings us back to the source, back to ourselves. I think that would already bring so much peace and harmony in this world. If you see it from a loving eye, if another animal comes, so much less cruelty would happen, So unconditional love,
Love is the key, and it's as simple as that.
Yes.
That's incredible and beautiful. Thank you so much. So I'd like to wrap up this discussion, but Well, from my end to you, good luck with everything that the
Yeah.
future holds for you.
Thank you so
And
much.
I honestly do hope, because this conversation was very enlightening. So if there is anything I can wish for you, it's just that you can actually open a lot of other people's hearts as well. Show people that communication is the key, and actually maybe lead that to some sort of difference somewhere down the line, which is the ultimate goal.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you very much for this very enlightening conversation.